Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you watch my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is Star Wars Saturdays, which is an anthology campaign that I've been running for the Gauntlet community for a few years now. The Gauntlet community is this online group of fans and friends who get together to play small press, indie, and OSR tabletop role-playing games. And that's what we'll be doing today. This is the first of potentially 2 sessions of Road Trip. Road Trip is this real cool storytelling game, board game hybrid that I found on DriveThruRPG because I think it was a Christmas in July sale or something. But Road Trip is by Malachi Charlo, and it's a traveling game. It's a game where we will create a crew who are traveling from one place to another. Now, Road Trip as designed is extremely flexible. It could be a fellowship that is gathering together in a fantasy land, traveling to someplace. It could be a group that's on a touring bus that are going somewhere in modern Europe. Or, luckily for us, it could be a crew that are getting on a spaceship traveling in a galaxy far, far away. So that's what we're going with. We're going with the Star Wars version. If you got excited and tickled with the idea of a Lord of the Rings version, I'm sorry to have disappointed you, friends, because we're doing the Star Wars version of this one. So the trip starts with us having a conversation, figuring out the trip itself. So where is our crew now? Are you guys in the core worlds? Are you in the outer rim? Where you start has a big impact on what you'll see along the way. And if I need to, I've got a map. You guys like maps, so I got maps. But also, we could go to the StarWarsGalaxy.com, which is also incredible. I don't know if you have never gone to the Star Wars Galaxy map website. It is really amazing, and I highly recommend it.
I have a few ideas to throw out there for maybe folks to consider.
Right.
We could be on Bespin and getting either, I don't know what they mine there. I know they mine something, so we could be picking up something. And then
Gas, I think.
yeah, probably gas. Or the classic would be Kessel, and we're getting spice. Or the third would be oh, I forgot. Well, I'll just leave it at those two.
So time-wise, we're usual time, right? Somewhere between
that's a great question. Yeah.
Jedi thing and the Mandalorian, right?
Yep, somewhere between Return of the Jedi and Mandalorian,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
So that makes sense. So okay, this is just me, but I would like to start on Aderon, maybe. That is the movie world, and maybe what we would have to take is some sort of recordings or something like that to somewhere else, because people haven't had a chance to watch what was the name of it, Fear of the Obsidian Clone.
Oh no. Oh, I thought you're not doing Hearts of the Force, you're doing Fear of the Obsidian.
I mean, there is space for all of that Heart of the Force, of course, that is a staple, but Fear of the Obsidian Clone, I think part 3 is out by now, and yeah.
Maybe there's some information hidden in the film that only somebody who knows how to decode it, and so can understand. Yeah, and so it's valuable beyond just for entertainment purposes, but others don't know that necessarily.
I like that. I like that.
Stephen, did you have some thoughts about where you'd be interested in starting?
Yeah, so my thoughts are actually out of order. I'm like, well, is it more important if we're, taking a person, or is it a thing, or, because, so I'm thinking something more along those lines, and I don't know how much about the place matters, to me. The place, seeing something that we've seen on screen that's familiar, or ending up in some place that's either familiar or dangerous, I think is important. Yeah.
Okay. We can absolutely keep that in mind. Josh, what about you? Did you have any starting place in mind?
I was also thinking about the core worlds. I think
Okay.
a lot of Star Wars takes place in the Outer Ring. You know?
Oh yes, so much. Everything on Tatooine. All things Tatooine all the time.
Yeah. Why not see some of inner space? You know?
Inner space. All right. So it sounds like we have 4 options that are thrown out there. We have the core worlds. Core world Tatooine, sure. We have core worlds, we have Kessel, we have Bespin, and Aderlon, which I jokingly refer to as Space Bollywood. So either one of those could be start or end point. You could start at the core worlds. That's not a bad idea. It's Bollywood. Okay, now that is going to be what my brain thinks of. Thank you for that portmanteau, which I'll have to explain. Is everybody cool with the idea of starting at the core worlds? All right.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So you're starting at the core worlds. And that means we'll throw up the galaxy map. That's actually maybe the galaxy map is at the, I gotta put the grid in the sector. So I don't know if you guys have seen this bad boy, but somebody came up with this website. They have a Patreon. I keep needing to back because they're doing many God's works here. So this is, and there's actually yeah, it's crazy what all you can do here. But there's also a search. So if you're like, I can't find where so-and-so planet is, you can find it. It's really cool. And you can look at the hyperspace lanes, all that fun stuff. So you guys will be in the core worlds, and that is awesome. The crew. Who are the crew? Are you a band, a roving troop of bounty hunters, the last remnants of a failed rebellion, just a bunch of friends? And I think that's where, Stephen, your head was kind of leaning towards is what's the crew about? What are your thoughts there?
So I was actually picturing something more a little bit like we're kids who are trying to find our way.
Okay.
Maybe there's a lot of unrest or social collapse as a result of regime change, and we kind of got lost in the shuffle. So maybe we're like kind of refugees.
Ooh.
Interesting. So a little bit like spoilers for Fury Road. Is anyone going to be upset if I give a slight spoiler for Fury Road? I'll shut up. Okay, we're good. You're trying to go to the green place? Yeah. All right. Regime collapse. That is interesting. Okay. Do we have any other ideas for what the crew is about? Okay, sounds like kids trying to find your way after a regime collapses was currently on the table. We're good with that?
Maybe we've been tasked with this journey by somebody or something. We don't really understand why it is we're doing this, but we got a ship, so okay, let's go.
Given a ship by some elders, a corporation, an organization? What are you thinking?
Could always be a mysterious hooded figure. That's always.
Yeah. I like mysterious hooded figure. That is awesome. That you never know, right? Could have been a Jawa. I mean, they're hooded figures. They're not entirely mysterious, but
several hooded figures stacked on top of each other.
And I like the idea that we don't really we're like looking for any way out. We don't they're like, oh, you should take this this delivery here, come back, let us know, you'll get paid. And we're like, great. And we're like, we don't even know what's in the box or something. So
a mysterious hooded figure came to you with a set of keys for this freighter and said, and so you took off on your journey. All right. That is wild. I can't wait to see where we go with that. Destination. And this is where we can keep in mind those other planets that we talked about. It could easily be that you're supposed to go to Bespin or Kessel or Adelon, Spollywood, as some might call it. Where's the trip to? The destination is always far away, but what you call far away changes a lot depending on your ride. Josh, do you have any thoughts on destination?
You know, maybe we're trying to make it big in Spollywood. You know, we're fleeing our home. We're making a new life for ourselves. We're gonna be movie stars, Hollywood
Yeah.
stars.
Is everybody on board with the idea of at least one or two of the crew expecting to be huge movie stars? Maybe somebody's secretly a writer and you've got this script about a first order and some kind of
First
child.
order?
So we took the job with the
Wow.
with the intention of going to Spollywood and making it big, not actually completing the job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can complete the job and make it big. I don't see the contradiction, right? It's gotta be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Interesting. The reason why is the crew going? We may have already kind of talked about this, but you had a mysterious hooded figure gave you guys this ship and said, did they say go to Adelon, or have you guys just decided to go to Adelon and maybe he sent you to the Minos cluster where Adelon lies? No, we should probably keep it together. If you're going to Adelon, you're going to Adelon. Sorry, I started to make things muddy, and we should clarify. Stephen, what are your thoughts about the reason the crew is going? Of course, you might be motivated to be hauling at stars. Is that why you're going to Adelon, or does this mysterious hooded figure have another reason that they gave you to go there?
So here's a question.
Mhm.
Mechanically in the game, do we all have to have the same reason?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there
so-
needs to be a stated reason.
Okay.
But everyone could all have their own personal motivations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking along the lines of what you started to say, which is the person who gave us the ship wanted a delivery of something to go to go to a nearby area, but we decided to go to Adelon to find our fortunes there, right? And I like the idea, like you said, someone's a writer. Some people are just there to get out, right? And it's like once we've gotten the ship, our purpose is to go to Adelon to make our way.
You're basically remaking the Muppet movie. Okay, I'm into this.
Is that true?
Not exactly, but close enough for me to squint and get excited about it.
Interesting.
You're moving right along. Footloose and fancy free. So you're delivering something to the Minos cluster for a hooded figure who we need to name. Probably should not be more of Vader. That is too silly. Good, but each of you have your own reasons. Each of you. Motivations. Cool. Anyone have any? I'm not on board with this feels with where we've gone so far. All right. Here's the crazy one.
So we should actually talk and make sure that we're all on board, because Rich, you mentioned the Muppet movie. Are we playing a game that's going to be a little bit gonzo and silly, or are we playing a game that's going to be super
That's a
dark?
great question. Tone.
Yeah.
We should talk about tone. I get excited and throw out 1,000 things, but we should. Ooh, that's a cool name. Peter, what are your thoughts on tone?
I personally would like if our characters maybe don't really understand the depth of the danger that they're facing. We just think like, oh, this is working out, everything's okay. But maybe that hooded figure was bad news and we didn't really understand that, and that becomes increasingly clear. So while it might start with a little bit of a lighthearted feel, it increasingly becomes a little bit more grim as we realize that we're not necessarily in a great situation. That's just my personal take. I'm open to anything.
That sounds like a road trip I want to be on. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
Scene one, we're stopping at the refreshment stand, getting Slurpees, and, and then at the end, we're crawling through the desert.
Yeah. I think for the hassle, one potential thing is that we weren't supposed to go to Adelon. and that now we have the hooded figure who gave us this starship is after us.
Oh no! So they giveth and they taketh away. So hooded figure upset at.
I mean, they had to be really desperate to give us a ship to take something there, so they can't have very many resources. And then suddenly we find out, oh, they've got resources. They're just out here and not, in the core planets.
Interesting. So
Maybe
a name
there's
was thrown
something-
out. Go ahead.
Maybe there's something about the thing that we are transporting that will cause some hassle down the line because we don't know what it is, right? And it could start sending out signals or something. I mean, just the fact that we don't know what it is and we haven't checked yet. I mean, come on, what mysterious cargo survives a trip in an RPG without being looked at? I mean, just saying.
This is very true.
So yeah, that the cargo could also be a bit of a hassle because we don't know what it is.
Cool, mysterious cargo. To swing back to Core Worlds, just to put a name to it, are we cool if it is, because the general loose canon, because Disney and expanded universe and legends and all that cool stuff with Star Wars that I've gone with is that Corellia is still technically under Imperial control, hasn't fallen to the New Republic yet. That could definitely be an interesting place for you guys to come from. Is everybody on board with you've left Corellia? Okay. Sweet. I like Corellia and Coronet City. Okay, so let's restate and make sure everybody's on board before we jump over and start making our crew. The crew begins on Corellia. Corellia is a mostly industrial world. This is where a great deal of the manufacturing of TIE fighters and a lot of the Imperial Space Force originated. And as if you've seen Solo, a Star Wars story, that is where he started off. He's from Corellia. He and Kira are both from this place. And it's very smog covered, very industrial revolution, the ills of over manufacturing kind of thing, a brown, rusty colored world. If we go in the Star Wars parlance of every world has a certain motif. So you've left Corellia because Confelon, is that how you were imagining it pronounced, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay, Confelon handed you guys a freighter and said, I need you to take this package to the Minos cluster. And the Minos cluster is a cluster of worlds. It's pretty cool. But then someone heard Minos cluster and decided that really Aderlon's where to go. Got all super excited. You jumped into this ship. We'll go through some pictures of ship because we're going to stick it on the map when we get into that piece of it. You've jumped on the ship because your motivation is that, yeah, sure, you're going to complete this job, but really your motivation is to go to Aderlon, Space Bollywood, and be Hollandaise stars or directors or writers, all that good stuff. So you have to deliver something to the Minos cluster, and the hassle that you have is that the cargo itself is unknown. So there's that mystery to deal with, and the hooded figure or a Confelon is after you guys, which I guess we'll discover along the way why he gave you a ship and is now after you. Maybe that reason is a thing that one of you will reveal, because this game definitely has that flexibility. Our tone that we've decided on is that we'll start off hopeful and carefree, but as the journey progresses, things will become darker and harder. Everybody on board with that? Any tweaks, adjustments? All right. It's time to determine your crew. So hop over to the crew tab, friends, and take a look. Is there a particular role, ROLE, that appeals to you? And if you're not sure about some of the terms that are used to describe these roles, just ask.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about revisiting Sorendal, who is basically still a kid. He's not from Corellia, but he could have been there, and just gone along with the whole thing, and maybe watch over the others a little, because that's the kind of person he is. I think maybe the steady for him might be a good fit.
Cool. Did everybody good with giving up the steady? I think that works for Sorendal quite a bit.
Okay, cool.
I was looking at the captain.
Ooh.
I think that this is.
You've had several simulated.
I love Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yes.
And also when Confellin handed the keys over, he handed them to me. So obviously that means that I'm in charge. And I have been riding that to claim captaincy.
Love it. I love it. It's not at all problematic. It's great. It's the perfect reason for you to be captain, because you grabbed the keys first and you've had multiple simulations. Peter, what were you interested in?
I'm actually happy to defer to Stephen. Stephen, if you'd like to go first, I'm open.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't really have a whole lot of ideas. Maybe the veteran. Because he's I'm thinking someone who's actually been out past Corellia before. So yeah.
Just so you know, I don't know if you've peeked over at the dashboard, the veteran has the special ability. When you spend a few moments giving heartfelt advice to a crewmate, they can add 3 to their stash, which gives you extra dice to roll to get narration rights for things.
Yeah. Do any of the other roles have something similar?
They all do.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked over that, but that sounds great.
That's why I wanted to throw it out, because I hid it at first because I wanted to get you guys choosing roles first. But yeah, it's a cool deal.
Cool. I think then I'll go with the rebel. Maybe I'm not actually like in a tough situation. I'm from like a richer family on the planet, but I just like pretending, and and this seems like a great opportunity that I can't miss out on. So I'm coming along.
Well, that's perfect. Oh, hooray! We've got a Mary Ellen. Nice. Sweet. I've hidden the unused roles. And while people are filling things out, I'm just going to pause our recording at this point until people are ready to introduce their characters. Awesome. We're back. We have made a slight adjustment to the trip. The mysterious figure, Confellin, is sending you guys with a package that you need to deliver to Bespin. So the point when you go take the Rima trade route past the turn you were supposed to take to Bespin, that is when it signifies that you are off job, off task. That is delightful. Let's go around the horn and go ahead, and I'm going to start from the left. We're going to start with the captain, gets to introduce themselves. We'll go captain, steady, rebel, and veteran. Each player gets to introduce their characters. After all the characters are introduced, then we'll go back around, and each of you will pick a relationship with another member of the crew using the drop down. And if none of them work, we'll make one up. It's a-okay. We have imaginations. So, Peter, if you could. Oh no, you're not the captain. Josh, if you could lead us off.
Yes. So I am playing Defshi, he, him pronouns. Defshi is he is a 17 years old, I think. Loves the Holonet vids. Doesn't care for school. Sits in his room and plays flight simulators a lot, right? And hangs out with his friends. And he hates Corellia. He doesn't want to work in a factory, you know. And when fortuitously Felon came, Defshi put his hand right out, and Felon dropped those keys into Defshi's hand, and he has kept them in his pocket ever since. And he has not let anyone touch him. So by virtue of that, he has declared himself captain of this new beautiful ship, better than he could ever imagine. And he's taken all of his best friends to go on, the road trip of their lives out of this dump.
Amazing. Then next we have returning to Star Wars Saturdays. I'm excited to say, Sabine, tell us a bit about Sorendal.
Yeah, Sorendal is actually not from Corellia. He's from a planet called Backwater or whatever. Anyway, he left, stole his mother's lightsaber. Long story. He ended up on Corellia because he was looking for his father, tried to keep him out of trouble, and of course, it ended up with his father leaving him holding a whole bag of trouble, and he was stranded on Corellia and went to ground there. Hooked up with, I think, Defshi just because, I mean, okay, why not? Seems nice enough. And he is looking for a way to get off the planet and get back to, well, having a stern talk to his father, maybe. But Arelon seems also nice because there is somebody he has to talk to about the certain Holonet drama and the depiction of one of his ancestors in said Holonet drama. And so he's fine with going there. Yeah, he's also he's a Jedi. He doesn't make a lot of he doesn't go around telling people that, but he has the lightsaber and can move things with the Force. But he, as I said, he's not really showing that off because why would he? It's not. There's still Imperials around, especially on Corellia, and you're better off not announcing it like with a fanfare or something.
I've heard that causes problems. That is wondrous. Let's move further to the right there. I'm saving a file, so give me just a second. Next up is Peter with Cel Duval.
Yeah, so I will be playing Cel Duval. She has her pronouns. Cel Duval is a I forgot the name, but I think a Paulon is what it is. And perhaps she's distantly related to the Grand Inquisitor, and that's how her parents were able to get like a supervisory position here on Corellia overseeing manufacturing. But to kind of keep tensions with locals to a minimum, she's really been cloistered, maybe homeschooled, and doesn't get out. But she kind of rebelled against that and started going out into the streets and tried to make contacts with local teenagers. And when she just kind of got caught up in all of this, thinking that maybe Defshi really is like a gangster or something, and she's getting into something really big, and she's kind of been duped into joining the rest of the group on this trip.
Oh, that's great. So you come from wealth and privilege, and you're just stuck here. That's amazing. Thank you. And Stephen, if you could tell us about your character.
Hi, my name's Stephen. My pronouns are he, him. Today I'm playing Tatala Iv, who is a Chadra fan that looks like a little, short bat humanoid creature. And his pronouns are he, him. And he was actually traveling and doing, on a trade route whenever his ship broke down here on Corellia, and the crew didn't have enough money to fix it, so they kind of splintered out trying to find new jobs. I heard my captain, of course, was able to, pilot a ship out of here, but he didn't take me with him. So I'm looking to pick up with a new crew. And, while, most of these people are kind of greenhorns, it'll get me off planet.
Oh, An opportunist. Interesting. All right. With all of those introductions in place, hopefully you have enough to create some relationships. You're going to look to the other members of the crew, look at the relationship suggestions, and see, is there one that really appeals to you? We'll start with our veteran. What relationship with what PC interests you?
Let me look for just a moment.
Sure.
I think estranged friend. Probably with Cel Saval, if that's okay.
Interesting.
And
Sure.
I think that's because you helped my captain get a job and get off planet, and you didn't help me, so I thought I was your friend, right? Yeah.
You good with that? For
Oh,
Cel Saval?
absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Cool. Then let's go with Cel Saval. Who do you have a relationship? So if you can point your relationship towards either Soren or Devsheath.
Yeah. Well, I one thing I'm thinking is maybe I have a crush on Defshi, and because I think
Oh,
he's this big gangster and he's like a hotshot pilot, and maybe when I realize that that's not necessarily true, that could go an interesting way. I don't know if you feel comfortable with that, Josh.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
crush. Oh, I was so happy when I saw crush as one of the relationship types. I'm like, oh, that's so perfectly youthful and never works out. And I love that you've already set it up to be a doomed crush. It's great. Good job. And then Soren Dahl, do you have a relationship that interests you with Devshi?
I thought I would have a crush on him, but you know what? I was totally willing to say that's not it, because I'm a Jedi and I don't have crushes, and if I do, I have to crush that, and that doesn't make sense. I think I'll go with oath, though. I think I've made an oath to someone that I will see them safely to wherever they need to go. And that could be Tutara, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I think, yeah, that might be interesting. Just to say, yeah, I've made a promise. You probably didn't think it was a big deal, but to Soren, it's yes, I've given my word now that I will see you to safety, and I will stand by my word. Of course, I'm a Jedi. I have to. Is that okay with you, Stephen?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
Especially the part where it was like, I thought it was all talk, but yeah, sure. You were like, no, this is an oath. Yeah, I like that.
And then Devshi, do you have a relationship you want to throw, I guess, to Soren? But if you've got a certain inspiration for someone else, we could figure it out. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Soren, I'm gonna say, is my bitter rival.
Oh,
If you're okay with that, Sabine, why do you think that there might be a rivalry between Soren and Devshi?
I have no idea, because I followed you onto this ship just to keep everybody safe. So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Well, could it be a thing of Soren Dahl's a freaking Jedi?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is I
Yeah.
think that Devshi's a little bit jealous.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. So it's not from my direction. It's like, yeah, okay. I don't even probably realize.
It's sort of a
that was-
one-sided rivalry.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yes. Okay. So you've seen me do stuff with my mind, right? That you cannot really explain.
Yeah, I opened the door one day and you were like levitating a marble, and I just freaked out, and I closed the door and I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And ever since, I've been side-eyeing you because I think you're gonna try to take the keys from me and be the captain because you're a Jedi, you know, because I believe in the Force. I'm that's a cultural trait of my people.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. And I'm nowhere near taking. I mean, of course, if you cork it up, I might. But
That's perfect. And someone has shared with us a image file for our nefarious con felon. I am adding that picture to our NPCs tab. I'll take out the question mark. There we go. That is wild. Sweet. All right. That is great. We have all of our relationships established now. They're really fun. Let's jump to our dashboard. Here's the thing that I thought, I could create what the ship looks like. Then I thought, oh, that's a lot of fun for folks. I want you guys to do it. So now here's the point where I probably should pause the recording because I'm going to ask you guys to find a picture for your ship. Probably the worst idea ever, but damn it if it isn't fun to hunt for pictures. So I'm going to pause the recording and have you guys look for what your ship appears to be, because it goes onto the dashboard and it's kind of important. Okay, we have found a YT 2400. That is the ship, and we have a few things that each of the crew members get to say a little bit about the ride. So we'll start with our captain. Oh, captain, my captain, Devshi. What is the name of your YT 2400?
Yes, our YT 2400 was previously named the Opportunity, and we have rechristened it the Double Payback.
Awesome.
I used the royal we. This was a Devshi decision.
Awesome. And then because you're the captain, you get to tell the crew while you're in charge. We already know that. You grab the keys and told them that you're in charge because you are the only one who can fly. What you're best at, then say what the purpose the ride was designed for.
Yeah, I think that this ship was, well, okay. So I wrote that it was designed for real space flying and that it has a terrible hyperdrive, a really slow hyperdrive. But I'm happy to change that if it overlaps a little bit too much with Peter's.
No, that's fine by me. Go ahead with that.
Great. So then in that case, the ship handles really well in real space, but it takes forever to jump into hyperdrive. And the hyperdrive is slow. It's not light speed at all. It's barely faster than flying regular.
All right, so her sublight engines and handling are fantastic, but the takes forever to jump to light speed, and hyperspace engines or drive is poor. Awesome. Let's now move over to Soren Dahl. How did the crew earn your loyalty? And then one thing they can always rely on you for, and then name a reliable thing that the Double Payback has.
Well, they're all young and eager. So am I, actually. But yeah, but that's mainly that I think, yeah, okay, I'm going to be with young people for now because all people tend to screw me over. And yeah.
That's just your dad. That's just your dad.
Yeah, well, and they can rely on me to defend them against all incoming dangers, and because and the ship, the relay ship has pretty decent shields, so we may not be very fast, but if you're shooting at us, well, you'll have to shoot for a while.
Good stuff. Next up is Cel Saval. You get to tell the crew why they suck and a thing you do better than any of them, and then name a poodoo thing that the Double Payback has.
Got it. Yeah. So in Cel's view, you're all a bunch of greenhorns who've never been in a real scrap, And growing up on an Imperial planet as an alien, I know a thing or two about coming up on top of a scrum. And sure, the ship looks good, but the hull is actually in terrible condition. It has likely been through a battle of some kind and received superficial repairs to hide the damage, but it's structurally compromised.
That's amazing. And our veteran, Tutala, you get to tell the crew something that always happens on this route that you're taking. And one thing you learned last time you took it, then name a thing that the double payback will need. Fascinating.
Yeah, so basically this route that we're taking, there's a long stretch from Salust to Adarlan that is full of like backwater worlds, like, you know, wild wilderness like Dagobah and places like that. So we need to resupply at Salusta and fuel back up to make it all the way to Adarlan or Bespin. You know, that's our refuel spot, because it's sort of like, you know, when you're driving through, you know, the plains and you're like, okay, this is the last gas station. We have to
Nice.
stop here to make it there. Yep.
Oh, that's really, really cool. I like that. Cool. And then, yeah, name the thing the ride will need. Oh, do you want to name a specific thing that the ride will need? Is it foodstuffs, that kind of stuff, or?
I think it's fuel.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. That is really cool. I think we are ready to make our first roll. Wow. But before that, and a mid-game break point. So let's do that. So we're going to pause here and take our first mid-game, or our mid-game bio break. Here we go. All right, now we kick off the game proper. The crew of Double Payback. I think we have to start on Corellia, right? Like we have to see whence you came. Oh, cool. Back row for Steven. I just noticed that. Awesome. Chedrafed. That's probably not to scale because he's like tiny. Cool. So what I'd love to do is, before we do the roll to move you to your next spot, is just a quick few pocket scenes, kind of the beginning of our movie where we see you in the few moments before everybody's gathered together to jump on the Double Payback and get the heck off of Corellia. So let's start off with our veteran. Where is it that we find you in our opening scenes of our little movie?
Yeah, I think that what we see is where he's been staying. He's been staying in, basically, it's the equivalent of what we see in, like, in travel places, especially in Japan. They have like, they only own like a little bunk, right? So he's been staying in a bunk in like a hotel,
like a
that
hostel kind of deal.
hostel kind of thing. Comes in, he's of course on the bottom bunk and has, you know, he's like, okay, you know, talking into his little communicator. Okay, it's time to go. And then grabs all of his stuff and it fits into like a little case. It looks like a little briefcase because he's used to traveling. Just snaps everything in place, picks it up, and, you know, not runs, but walks fast. You know, is definitely moving and weaving in and out among the crowd to get to the shipyard where opportunity is.
Nice. Then let's jump to Soren Dahl. What do we see Soren Dahl in this opening sequence?
I think what Soren is doing is he's giving notice. He's worked at a bar of some sorts, pretty sleazy bar, to be honest. And the proprietor is like, no, okay, no, you're a natural. You can't go. I've got your contract here, and you can't just leave me hanging, right? And Soren is arguing a bit, and then he's got enough of the whole thing and the stuff that he apparently owes this guy because of something his father did. And he's like, you know what? you will let me go. And the proprietor, oh, I will let you go, of course. And Sora out. Slightly,
take off.
Yeah,
Nice.
and just takes off to the shipyard before that guy comes to his senses and makes a fuss about the whole, my dad owes you money and now I own you, or something like that.
Cool. What about for Saval, coming from privilege and wealth and responsibility from the Empire? I'm really curious. What's her home life like?
Yeah, Sal is like in a building across the way from her family lives. It's kind of a high-rise apartment that overlooks the city. It's above the smog layer, so you can actually kind of see the skies and the ships coming and going from Corellia. But she's in the high rise across the way and looking through a window, like in an emergency stairwell. She has a vibroblade out and she's like chipping at the ledge of the window as she looks across. And in like the apartment, it's lit and it's like a picture perfect family. Like her mother is baking something. Her brothers and sisters are coming to get food, and her parents are there. And she's watching it, and she's clearly having second thoughts about whether she should be leaving this. And then she like pulls out a handheld holo display, and Defshi appears like on hand form, like just like an image she captured of him, and she looks at him and she looks at the apartment, and then she like throws her knife once at the window and it like cracks, and she walks over and picks it up, and then she walks down the stairwell.
Nice. Oh my goodness. That's so, I cannot wait to watch this customer. I mean, I'm pulling for you. I'm a fan of this. And then our captain, what is it that we see from Captain Defshi?
Yeah, we see Defshi at his home, talking to his dad, and he's saying, yeah, Dad, I'm gonna have a great time at boarding school. I'll make sure to keep you updated. And he, says goodbye. They hug, and he slings his bag over his shoulder and he walks out. He closes the door behind him and he sort of glances conspiratorially over his shoulder, and then he breaks out into a run towards the shipyard.
So you're going to a boarding school. Is this a thing where when Defshi hugs his Mary Ellen father, is he dressed in some kind of military garb? Is he in imperial gear? Is he in, what is he wearing? What do we know about his father?
Yeah, I think I'm in a Imperial cadet uniform.
Oh, I like it. Nice. We jump ahead with some vibrant, upbeat music as the four of you are boarding this YT 2400 freighter. The opportunity is written in Abesh for anyone that goes back to look at it, pauses it on the Blu-ray or the online streaming video of the road trip Star Wars game. And you guys, we have the gangplank down and everyone's heading up, and Soren, Tutala, Defshi, and Selsaval all get on board. You hear the delighted sounds of your astromech droid. I guess the droid came with the ship because she's there. And she's zipping around as you guys are going on, and the ship, and of course you've got quarters that you have to figure out who's sleeping where, but what's most important is getting out of Corellia. Now, Corellia, as we've established during early pre-game stuff, is a planet in the core world that has yet to fall to the New Republic. There's kind of a Cold War going on. There is a significant Imperial presence. And because Corellia's shipyards create a great deal of the space fleet of the Empire, unseating the Empire from Corellia has been a delicate affair. There is an agreement that Corellia will not be sending any of the Sinar systems fleets off of world, but they continue to have a very heavy presence. So there are, as you guys are coming aboard the double payback, you see there's an AT-ST that's just walking around in patrol at the spaceport. And Confelin, the person who gave you the keys to the opportunity, said you'll have to find your own way off. It's not like he's cleared the way. It could be dangerous leaving here. With that in mind, who is up in the cockpit with Defshi as you start up the double payback for the first time?
I am.
I'm also towards
strapped in. Sorry. Are you like strapping in as co-pilot kind of deal? Is that what Tutala is doing?
Yeah. I think there's actually, I'm not actually in the co-pilot seat.
Okay.
Because I'm not qualified for that. But I think there's like a little flip down. It's strapped to the wall. We flip it down, and I strap into that, and I'm kind of telling Defshi, okay, we're gonna have to get off planet. So you're gonna be contacted. And you're gonna have to have a good story to tell them whenever they radio us in.
Nice. And then Celsival, Peter, you were saying that.
Yeah, I'm standing like right at the entrance to the cockpit, and I've got like a hand up on like a handrail. I clearly have not been on a space flight before, and I don't realize I need to strap in, and I'm just like standing there holding the handrail and kind of looking like bright-eyed at the back of Defshi as I clearly believe he's incredibly competent, and I'm excited to see him in action.
Oh, this is so good. I can't wait to break your faith in his capabilities with die rolls and the like. So cute. All right. And then Sorendal, where are you on the ship as she's starting to take off?
I think I'm watching everybody else, but I'm also paying attention to what the readout of the mechanical part says, what needs to be fixed and stuff like that. Maybe try to figure out what that little droid is going on about and why it's beeping all the time. Yeah, exactly. What does it want? This is not even a word, not even in binary.
Yeah, this droid is definitely worried about something as you guys are trying to take off. But it seems Sorendal doesn't speak Astromech, so
I do speak Astromech. That's why I'm worried about the beeping that I don't that I don't understand, because I mean maybe there are different binary dialects, but or this thing is just damaged, or it speaks backwards. I can't mind. I will try to figure out what it wants though.
Poor E2M3 aka Esme, the Astromech. You can't understand what she's trying to say. So Captain Defshi, let us begin our game. So we are going to make the first roll as you head out. So all right. So the first roll, the roll is made because the ride is moving. So when you roll, you'll roll 3 6-sided dice. Each result is linked to a player or roll. And when a result linked to your roll shows up, you may say a sentence about how things turned out, either describing a portion of the action taken or an effect it had. If the roll was made because the ride is moving, which it is, players may also grab dice to name a feature that exists in the space the ride is moving to, or any adjacent space. We will figure this out as we go if it seems at all unclear. I think I have an idea of the shape of this game, so how things will work out. We'll figure it out. So let's go ahead and have some dice hit the table.
Yeah. So should I roll 3 dice?
Yeah, let's have you roll 3 dice. Now I'm going to go ahead and share screens and we'll talk through this real quick. Okay, so the 1 goes to the road, the 6 goes to the roller, and the 4 goes to whichever roll has a 4 on it. Let's take a look at our rolls. That would be Sorendal, which means that each of us gets to say a sentence about either the trip that you guys take getting out of Corellia, Or you can name a feature that exists in the space the ride is moving to, or any adjacent space. And since you're the captain, I'll go ahead and let you move the lovely YT2400, the double payback. You can move into any adjacent space as we do this. There's no talk about who goes in what order in the rules. So we'll figure that out as we go.
Sure.
I think I'll lead off with, as the road, I get to say a sentence about when you're leaving Corellia, you are notified, like you're not cleared to exit Corellian space. And so they are, I think, probably going to try to pursue you with a few, I guess it would have to be a few TIE fighters that are flying up after you, Defshi, as you're attempting to get the hell out of Corellia.
Yeah. And Defshi, oh, this, you know, he goes on the radio, I think, and it doesn't work out well. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have a clearance. There's no way he's going to talk his way out of this. And they send the TIE fighters out, and this is exactly like, the newest like Imperial propaganda game, except in reverse, right? You play the TIE fighters and you're chasing the Rebel fleet. He knows how a TIE fighter flies, and he just slams on the gas, and like rockets out of the cloud layer.
Perfect. And then Sorendal, what would you like to add to our fiction?
I think what I would like to add to the fiction is, I think when the TIE fighters start shooting, because that's what they do, right? We will actually find out that yes, exactly, that the shields of the ship are pretty good. Somebody has put some work on that because the ship has been damaged before, and maybe somebody thought, hey, let's do something with those shields really to make them really. But yeah, so that they're holding, but the Esme is beeping and seems to be worried, and some red lights are blinking because the hull does not like to be flown that enthusiastically, I say, because I imagine that Defshi is rolling and doing a lot of stuff there, and we're still in gravity. So yeah, we need to fix it. So I'm going down with Esme and start fixing things like punching stuff back in and repairing a coil and things like that. So yeah, that's exciting.
Cells of all with the whole Imperials telling you to land, TIE fighters taking shots, the shield causing the ship to bounce a little bit, and then you do a crazy barrel roll as Defshi discovers how effective the ship's handling is. What are you doing?
I think like I didn't strap myself in earlier, so like I'm like dangling from this like handhold with both hands now. Like earlier I was like casually leaning against it, and there's a sharp contrast now with me like at one point dangling from it, and a flash of doubt comes over my eyes, and I'm yelling, almost backseat driving from the back, saying, "This isn't a fighter. You can't drive it like that. You can't fly it like this. We need to get out of here. We don't have weapons to engage with TIE fighters. What are you doing? Get us out."
Cool. I love it. So here is how there's a question in chat. We'll talk about that right now. How do you earn stash? So there are a few different ways to earn stash. You may add, oh, that's adding dice from your stash. So one way is that each of you have roles on the dashboard, such as Tutala has a role where he can give 3 to someone's stash. Sorendal has the ability to remove a die from a stash to do things, but that's not how you earn it. So let me make sure that there's not something I'm missing.
You go onto the
there is in the
rules
basics
tab.
actions. There is actions.
When you do something that the crew thinks fits your role, emphasizes your relationships, or uses one of the things established about you when you picked both, check a box in your stash.
Cool. So let's review the scene of you guys leaving Corellia. I feel like everybody was working along the aspects of their roles there. So let's go ahead and everybody gets to click one stash. That stash means that's dice that you can add to rolls down the road. And thanks for asking the question so that we can get these roles committed, these rules committed. And thanks for finding the rule. I was getting a little lost there. Excellent. So you take off in and bring up hyperspace. Bring up the hyperspace drive takes quite a bit. The shields are taking some damage, and we don't talk about what percentage shields are at because that is not a Star Wars thing. You eventually, the ship lurches back, and bam, the stars stream past you in long white lines. And yeah, Defshi, did you actually plot in a hyperspace coordinates? Is that a thing you learned from the flight sims?
I don't play that kind of flight sim. Defshi likes the ones with action.
Of course, that's some boring stuff. Who really cares about such things?
Yeah, so we're just, unguided, I think, out of here.
Oh, that's cool. Star Wars Resistance? Oh no. Wait, what is Star Wars Resistance? Is that a video game?
No, it's the animation
Oh,
series.
Star Wars. Oh yeah. Oh man. My previously held opinions have been destroyed by actual media of Star Wars.
I apologize for bringing up that. That's why I wrote it in the chat. I didn't want to do
It's all good. No, it's good. I'm not hurt by that at all. It kind of makes it easier to communicate information if you can do it in numbers. So no problem. Blind jump to get you guys out of Corellia, the TIE Fighters bank, and head back. We see Cel Saval's father as he's worriedly looking around. Where is she gone? Where's Cel? And he looks to Cel's sisters, and I don't know. But then the youngest sister, she pulls up this little holovid picture of the YT 2400 freighter, and he looks at it. Looks very, very worried and unhappy. We cut to you guys on board. You're in hyperspace, and as we know from Star Wars, hyperspace moves at the speed of plot, which means we could have a scene if we wanted. Devshi, you just jumped into hyperspace for the first time. You've got Tutala and Cel in the cockpit with you. Cel looking a little bruised. I think you got thrown up against the hull there, maybe. So Devshi, what do you do?
Yeah, Defshi is doing a victory lap, I think. He's, cheering. He's having the time of his life for about a minute. And then I think he remembers that he is in hyperspace. And he, the people dying in hyperspace. And he starts looking around to see what happened. He heard screams during the takeoff that he wasn't really thinking about. He looks behind him, and what's going on with Cel Saval? Has Cel recovered?
And Cel is looking worriedly at Tutala, and this is maybe the first time that when Defshi looked at Cel, she wasn't like staring at him. She's out clearly concerned about something, and she's looking at Tutala, and she actually says to Tutala, is it usually that fast to input the coordinates?
And I think Tutala's like, well, no. Let's check to see if Khan inputted the coordinates for us, and see what's going to happen. I think that was the belief, but I'm not sure. Let's go check the nav computer.
Oh, okay, everything. You were so great back there, Defshi. I didn't know that a ship like this could fly like that.
Yeah, Defshi smiles. He says, I didn't know that I could fly like that. That was cool.
What are you talking about? Of course you knew.
Well, I mean, I assumed, but I've never, like a real ship,
I really liked when you managed to thread the needle between those two buildings. I don't know how you saw that through the smog.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of practice in the simulators. And Defshi smiles and he, blushes a little bit.
Oh,
I imagine, like, as we're doing this, Tutala is actually doing work, but like the two of us are going back and forth love fest.
And completely shaking his head like, and he's punching things into the nav computer trying to find the coordinates of where we'll end up.
Awesome. I would love to put that to a test. I'm going to call for a check for Tutala as you're looking to see where is that you guys are going to end up.
Okay. I'm gonna roll 3 dice.
Ooh, 6. Okay, so 6 means you have narration rights there because you're the person rolling.
Okay.
And as we look at the dashboard, the
means
2,
you have narration rights.
wow, you get to tell us 100% where is it that we're going to end up. You get all the narration.
Just because I like it, I'd actually like to. We have a 9x5 dashboard, and I'd like to roll a d10, like randomly, to see where the coordinates ended up on, and on the dashboard. Does that make sense?
Oh, I sure. Although I was thinking that is a neat way to do it. I was thinking that you just move from left to right. Like if you jump ahead, that's kind of cutting the story short a little bit.
So the dashboard doesn't represent physically where we are. It's narratively where we are.
Right.
Fantastic. Okay, that makes sense then. So yeah, let me look, and I'll see real quick.
There's kind of a gigantic version of that somebody did in Photoshop that I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think that we were lucky, and the coordinates that are here are the last place where this freighter went. So we should have been heading from Corellia towards like Hosnian Prime to get down towards Bespin, but this ship came in from Mimban. So it came in for some service, and that's where we got a hold of it. So I think that we're headed towards Mimban, 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 which I think we saw in Solo, maybe. So we're headed not the opposite direction, but the wrong direction.
Yeah. Awesome. The wrong direction.
And then move the ship?
Yeah. Well, I think somebody already moved it, but yeah, move it. You got it.
Okay.
Boom.
And okay.
Wherever do you want it? Where do you want it to go, Steven? You get to move it.
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
And what was I going to say about for the next die of narration? I think it's I think that I start. I'm like I kind of shake my head, and I take Esme. I'm like, I turn to the rest of them. I'm like, the good news is we're not going to explode or go through a planet or a star. The bad news is we're kind of headed, off in the wrong direction. And I think I take Esme, and I reach down and I kind of rotate her, dome towards me, and I start saying, I need you to interface with the ship's navicomputer in order to get us back on track so that we can, we don't want to go back through Corellia, but we want to kind of get back where we need to go. So that, so start navigating, start figuring out a course for us.
And she zips along, and you see the little probe thing come in, and she starts dialing in and trying to find your information. But yeah, that's not a thing that you can easily do while still in hyperspace. So you're going to have to come out of hyperspace at Mimban, if that sounds okay. Membon is a swamp planet located in the galaxy's expansion region. So as you guys come out of hyperspace, well, actually, do we want to come right out of hyperspace? Were there any scenes that folks wanted to do on the ship before you have your first planetary?
I think, yeah. I
encounter?
think I sit down with Defshi, and I actually stand next to him where the co-pilot thing chair is, but I don't actually get into it. And I'm like, so and we start talking about like where the controls are, and I'm like, it seems like you already with Defshi. I'm like, it seems like you already know where everything is. It's like the ship is a part of you, and I think that's the most important thing for a pilot is to. This is like another hand that you have in order to know where the ship's going to go. So get used to the feel of it.
And Deshi looks very intimidated. He looks around. He goes, "Well, everything. I mean, I don't know about everything, but like, a lot of this stuff is pretty standard in most ships, And he like reaches up and he flips one of the bajillion switches that are up there, and it like turns on the fan in the cockpit. He's like, I mean, it's once you memorize like the order, it's not that hard.
And the more familiarity you have with the ship, the better you will be at being able to get it to exceed its limits. Can that count as some heartfelt advice from a crewmate?
Oh, it certainly is. In
There we
fact, I
go.
dropped that in chat because that sounded exactly like it. So Defshi now has 4 stash. Fantastic. There is a max on stash, so once you get to 4, you better spend it.
Mhm.
Yes.
What about Soren Dahl? You
Yeah.
spoke with Esme, and what are you doing?
I would go up to Tutal actually because he's working with her, and I will say, look, we need to fix some of these things. Some of these coil regenerators are fried, and we don't have the spare parts. We have a lot of spare hydrobaric spanners, but I don't know why we would need them even. But I think we need some coil whatever I said, some coil regenerators. We need. Well, I'm not an expert on ships, right? I grew up in a little bar, but that's my judgment, and I think that's what she's saying, as far as I can understand her.
And as Soren is saying this, Sal was kind of hovering away from the cockpit as Tutala was giving that advice to Defshi. She felt like it was a moment for them, and so she was kind of moving back. And so she meets Soren on the way, and they're walking back together as they're having this conversation about what the ship needs. And she seems really impressed, at your knowledge of the ship and the fact that you're humble about it. She's also she's like, honestly, I don't really know what a regroupinator is or what the coil is for, but I'm glad we have so many spanners. Maybe we can trade them later for something else.
That is a good point. I'm not very good at trading stuff. People usually take advantage of me when I try that.
I can take care of that, and I flash a vibroblade. I'm pretty good in negotiations, and I toss it up and then grab it out of the air and stick it back in.
That is impressive work with a blade. You know how to fight with it?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Nice. Maybe we can train together. I've been fighting with blades for most of my life, actually.
That sounds good. I was worried I wouldn't be of much use here, but it sounds like we could both learn a thing or two.
Sure. Cool. Nice.
I want to jump in because there's a question that I don't recall hearing an answer to, and if there was, I apologize. But Defshi, you're supposed to name an unattractive thing about Cel Saval. Now we've seen her in a few scenes. What's something unattractive? And it doesn't have to be physically, it could be personality wise, it could be whatever you want. But what's something that to young Def Shi he finds unattractive about Salsalal?
That's a good question. I think that Def Shi, I think that he thinks that she's a little snotty.
That's awesome. I like that. Cool. So we had a scene between Sel Tutala, a scene between Sorendal and sorry, Tutala and Def Shi, and a scene between Sel and Sorendal. Are there any other scenes we want before you guys land at Mimban, or at least come into Mimban space? All right, hearing nothing, you come out of hyperspace, and the stars all stop their motion, and you feel as the sublight engines start to kick in that you float in space for just a few moments, and then the engines kick in, and Esme is excitedly plugging in new astrogation coordinates, spinning around. But you've got control, Def Shi. You see that there are a couple of ships up ahead. You see some blaster fire coming from one of the larger ship towards a smaller ship. It appears that someone's trying to like the blinking light on the comms is going off. What do you do?
Yeah, I think Def Shi picks up the radio and says, hello? This is the double payback.
Double payback, please. We're under attack for some pirates. This is the Steadfast Heart. There's no way we can withstand all of this. Can you give us an assist?
Yeah, and Def Shi puts his hand off of like the comm button and turns around and says, do we have guns?
We have a laser turret. So yeah. And we have good shields.
Well, okay, well, I'm flying. So who's gonna get in the turret?
I can get in the turret, I guess. I think I've fired a laser or two in my life.
I assume this is all frantic conversation, but still unsure. You're headed to, I imagine we'll just go bubble turret a la, because it is a YT. So yeah, you climb into the turret, put on the headset, pull up the little vid display, which is like this grid bark. And you see that there's a ship that's a little bit larger than the double payback that is harrying a smaller ship. I now am going to say double payback every time until I get tired of it. So Sorendal, it sounds as if we should make a check. How does that sound?
That sounds, that sounds appropriate, I guess.
And are you going to dial in and just like start firing away at that larger ship?
I think, I'll see Def Shi. Maybe we should warn off the larger ship before I start firing on them. That might, maybe they don't want to be fired at. Maybe they'll just hop away.
I say, that's smart. And I get on like the wideband comms and I say, this is the double payback. Stop firing on the freighter. You know, we have weapons. We will open fire. And I turn off the comms and say, was that good?
Yeah, that was good. Sure. And I'll fire a warning shot at them, just, so they know we're serious.
You did great, Def Shi. That was wonderful.
Cool. Def Shi, let's see if I don't know. I don't think you can warn them away, right? Like, I think they ignore you. So what comes on is a heavily accented, it's a Clatoonian. Those are the, I've recently discovered, dog-faced men in our Star Wars, as he comes back over the comms and says, double payback, a joke name for a bunch of jokes. Listen, we're going to turn around and take your cargo too. And then you see more lasers fire out. And you do see that this ship has some shields, but the ship that they're attacking is not firing back. Like, they haven't popped a single laser. Yeah, so with that warning ignored, Sorendal, what are you doing?
Muting myself, and then I will fire at them, I guess. I mean, sure. Maybe try to, I'll just put in the dice that I can roll them. That's not the final roll. Yeah, just fire at them, maybe target the engines, stuff like that, or their weapons, stuff that will not explode them, but will.
So Soren's doing the action. You'll be rolling 3 dice. Anyone at this time for this roll, you can spin dice from your stash to add more dice into this roll. Are you rolling those yellow dice that I just saw you bring on?
Yes, I'm.
Okay, I'll delete these others so that we don't have too many dice in the way.
On my own dice.
That's fine.
Sorry.
We can make new dice every single time. It doesn't cost us anything.
Okay. So I don't want to spend my stash right now, but I might remove one from it when I finish rolling.
Getting ready to roll. Does anyone want to spend stash to roll extra dice into this, or are we good just letting the 3 dice go? Really, what the dice do is add more randomness, and I think you can add stash after you see the 3 dice hit the table. Like, oh crap, I want to help out. So okay, go ahead. Have you rolled?
No, I have not. Oh wow, I have now. It's a 4 and 2 2s. So the 4 is me saying things, and then the 2
2s are Tutala.
Tutala. Cool. So that's good, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Because it doesn't say you get to say good things. It just says you get a sentence or so of narration.
Yeah, okay. So Stephen, you want to start off, then me, and then you again?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think what we see here is the Clatoonian ship has kind of turned around and started to fire on us. And, the shields are holding, but we see on board, like there's this, the canonical tunnel, and we see like smoke start pouring out and maybe sparks from one of the panels. And I run over and I like pop the panel, and it's all sparking, and, there's a little bit of fire in there. And I pull out of one of my things, like it looks like a little oil can, but whenever I press it, it's a fire suppressor, and it kind of turns off, it kind of blows smoke inside, and then I start reaching in and grabbing things and like trying to reconnect them. And I think there's a little bit of like oil that squirts out, like, on the side of my head. And, I'm like, trying to make the repairs real quick, trying to get everything back together.
Nice. There's like an alarm going off as you're trying to furiously smoke going over. What about Sorendal? You get a little bit of a statement in here. What is going on?
What's happening there is, first Soren just fires a rather random barrage, so they know we're serious, and when they start firing back, he will then take a breath, connect with the force is with me, I'm with the force, and then he'll fire a single shot into their engine block, and they have a bit of an explosion there, and can get Spyro and have a bit of a problem now. And maybe Soren wasn't aware, but he was on comms when he said that.
All right, that is wonderful. The Clatoonian, their engines go down. You see a few systems, like the external lights on this, dim a little bit and then kick back in as if they've moved to an auxiliary system, but they are starting to pull away. And over the comms, Captain Defshi, you hear,
"Oh, thank the force. Double payback. Thank you for the assist."
Stephen gets to say one more thing.
Yeah. What's the other thing
I can make this quick. Basically, I'm like, whenever you shoot and you take out their engines, I'm like, you know, good shot, kid. Next time, go for their weapons.
Nice. Sorry about that. I got all excited.
No, it's great.
I'll be better and not take a narration when I haven't earned it with dice. Cool. So Captain Defshi, it appears that the Steadfast Heart, a small light freighter with no weapons, has been saved by you and your crew. What do you want to do?
So I think real quickly, I walk up to Defshi. You know, after, you know, I'm covered in like soot and like a little bit of oil and stuff like that. And I kind of put a hand on your shoulder, and or probably reach up to put a hand on your shoulder, and I think there's a little smudge there. But I tell you, tell them we need a favor from them, that they never saw us. They don't know anything about us, because we don't want to be tracked here.
Yeah, of course. Of course, Tutala. And I get on the comms and I say, Steadfast Heart, I'm glad that you're okay. As a favor, don't mention this to anyone. We're a little bit off course right now.
Oh, of course not. Are you sure the New Republic offers rewards for pirate hunters? I'm sure that we could get you in for a medal.
And Defshi turns around and he says, "The New Republic, a medal? Tutala, we gotta get. Come on, we did a good thing."
I kind of shake my head and I'm like, "You're the captain."
I like look at what you're wearing, which is the Imperial Cadet Officer's uniform, and I say, maybe you want to get changed before we start talking New Republic.
Yeah, and I say, "Oh, look, I just bought this uniform so he wouldn't think anything, all right? I got this from my friend Daryl.
I mean, you look great in it. It really suits you."
Thank you. Yeah, I thought, for like we're flying, we're in a starship. I had to wear a uniform. But look, I think I'd look great with a medal. And I get back on the
There's a
comm.
place for it there on the uniform right there. I think they go right here.
I get back on the comm and I say, well, if you say so, Steadfast Heart, feel free.
Righto. Okay, where can you be contacted? The New Republic is still caught up with a little bit of bureaucratic. You know how it is. Ever since the Empire fell, they're trying to get everything back on track, and that's why we have troubles with pirates. And yeah, but where should I tell them to find you?
Yeah, Deshi looks at he looks at like the big sticky note on the dash that says like Bespin. And he thinks about it for a second and he says, "Yeah, well, we're heading down to Adelon. So hopefully in a little bit you should be able to find us there."
I'm going on the internal comms and I'm saying, Defshi, I'm maybe mistaken, but were we hired to go to Bestman?
And I turn off the external comm and I say, let's talk about this in a little bit. We're gonna take a detour, I think.
Okay. Adelon, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I could go to Adelon.
Well, my name's Captain Arani Solano, and I'll put you in. I've grabbed your transponder codes, and I'll make sure that you guys are recognized for your service. Thank you so much. We've got a lot of repairs here, so I better get to that.
Got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, Sal says, "Oh, but where are they going for the repairs? Is there a repair bay around here? I heard the ship creak when we jumped into hyperspace, and I think that's bad news."
Yeah, I go on the comms, I say, is there a repair dock near here? Our ship is a little bit damaged. We would be grateful for a patch.
Oh, of course, Captain. Yes, if you could just follow me, I'm heading into Mimban. We were just making our delivery. There's a spaceport here. It's got some facilities. You could do some repairs.
Do you need any help tractoring in the pirate ship?
Oh, I'm imagining the pirate ship like lost engines and decided this was more profit than worth. So it's in sublight and just still trailing away
Oh, I see. Okay.
to get free of the gravity well, and then it's gonna jump to hyperspace and get the hell out of here.
Okay. Cool.
Is that okay with you guys? I
Oh
mean,
no, that makes sense.
okay. I didn't have any narration rights. I just decided that in the back of my mind. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Cool. So you're gonna follow the steadfast heart, and we get to see you guys out in the air. So Mimban is a swamp planet, and during the Clone Wars, there was a bunch of heavy fighting here. After the rise of the Galactic Empire, the Mimbanese, which I believe are primarily Mimbanese. Hold on. So the native species are Mimbanese. I want to see if they're. Oh wow, they're crazy looking. There's sentient species that are humanoid that have like red skin and blue eyes. Wild. Yes, the mud planet from Solo. Yeah. So Mimban has a spaceport, but it is like there is a thin haze over nearly everything. It is a very humid planet and warm too. The average temperature is quite a bit hotter than Corellia, which is cool, other than in certain areas in the industrial where I imagine the smog causes the like heat index to rise up a bit. So this is your first time on a foreign planet for everybody but Soren. Well, Tutala. So first time for Devshi and Cel Saval to be on another planet, at least in a while. And definitely your first time all by yourselves, Devshi and Cel. Spaceport itself is, I'm imagining it like a local airport. So there's probably a dozen ships around. There are some shops. There is a control tower. So it is very backwater, kind of podunk. So what do we see Tutala doing once you guys land here in Mimban?
So I think that I've gone to Esme, and Esme, I make sure that she's gotten enough of the information in order to make our next jump. And then I give her the next task, which is we need to start listing the things that are broken here. And I think that I start walking around. If I'm not mistaken, Soren, didn't you also start looking at things that needed repair?
Yeah.
So I'm making a list, and then I think I come across you, and you've already made part of that list. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I think the two of us are like, we kind of put our heads together, and I'm like, we don't need this stuff. The bucket of bolts will fly without it. But these things, if we don't do that, we might explode. So this is the important repair, right?
Yeah, life support system is always, it's not sexy, but it's pretty important.
True, but it only has to work like half of the time, because the other half of the time it'll be fine. You'd be surprised at how much you can get away with on these bucket of bolts.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't. This is the kind of surprise I really don't like. Hello, you don't have air to breathe and you're going to freeze in the next 15 minutes. That is not a surprise I'm very comfortable with.
True, but I mean, if the heater kicks on it, every other 5 minutes, it's fine. You won't get too cold. It'll be okay.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cel and Devshi, you see Tutala and Soren are evidently going to take care of fixing all of your ills.
I think we're hanging out at like the ramp that like lowers down so that once the landing gear like is down, we're just like kind of sitting on it, holding on to maybe one of like the hydraulic lifts, and like my legs are dangling over the ramp, and we're like kind of looking out over the alien planet, and I like look over at Defshi and I say, you know, it's not that different from home. It's more of like an organic rot than an industrial rot.
Yeah, Defshi is like wide-eyed, you know, looking around. Um, and he just says like, I didn't know it could be so open.
It's nice though, right? It feels like it's filled with possibilities.
I wonder how much else there is to see.
Well, we got a ship now. Uh, we can see whatever we want, especially with you at the helm.
Thanks, Sal. I think we're gonna have a good time. I think we're gonna have a good journey. I think it's gonna be good. And
Nice.
I think I like push off the edge of the ramp and I stand up and I stretch my legs and I say, I'm gonna go see what a swamp looks like.
Mind if I join you?
Of course.
Yeah, I jump down and like I get like pretty close to you, like right next to you, but not touching. Like lead the way. Let's go. I want to see this thing.
Yeah. And we're, I think, gonna do some swamp tourism for these city kids.
That's really cool. I don't see putting a die roll to it, so I will handle a little bit of narration. What is something unexpectedly beautiful or alien that they see Tutala? Something that you know about on Mimban for whatever reason.
It's the sky is so much different. On Corellia, you're used to there being smog and the sky kind of being brown or gray. But here, especially now when the sun is setting, it's lit up in purples and reds and oranges, and it's just breathtaking.
Nice. And Soren Dahl, what's something you've read about Mimban or heard about Mimban that they get to witness in the swamps?
Basically, that there is a swamp, right? There is water and stagnant water and flowing and then running water and then little brooks going through the swamp. And then what they get to witness is, I think there is, there is this sort of species that is pretty big and walks across the swamp on very large feet, like carefully. And then there is some sort of a swamp. I think, it's a swamp sort of mosquito, but the Mimbar mosquitoes, they are pretty big. They are eagle big, so this large animal gets attacked by the swamp mosquito and kind of dragged under or into the water. And it's kind of gross, but also kind of interesting because you don't see stuff like that. And these swamp mosquitoes, they don't hunt in packs. They don't come as a swarm. It's just that one swamp mosquito, and they have really beautiful wings, actually.
Neat. Cool. And as I'm looking at time, maybe is there anything more you guys wanted to do on Mimban? I know that Captain Arani Solano is going to come over to the ship and thank you guys profusely. She is Mimbanese. So if you took a look at the picture that was shared in chat, I'll be throwing a picture of that individual into our NPCs for Arani. But is there anything you guys wanted to do before you leave?
Yeah, maybe talk about Bespin.
I think that's an interesting conversation. It might be our last conversation of the session. But Arani Solano dropped her in. She really wants to meet you guys and thank you for your heroism and assure you many, many times that she will make sure you guys are awarded when you get to Adelon. She's going to do everything she can to get those rewards. And if there's any, she can't really offer any credits to you, but she offers her heartfelt thanks. Maybe even offers her engineer to help you guys repair a few things.
So we'll try to stay off the radar.
Makes sense.
Sal's kind of hovering, and at one point she chimes in and says, "Do you know where we might be able to get, something to defend ourselves outside of our ship? Maybe like a blaster or something? You know where something like that might be sold around here? We have tons of spanners that we're looking to trade, so."
Nice. She will set you guys up. I want to see this. Like, this is commerce. I want Dice to go with this. So let's have Saul try to sell some extra stuff off of double payback in order to retrieve or purchase blasters for at least yourself, if not the crew. So roll us 3d6 and let's see how this comes out.
Sure, yeah, and I'll go ahead and spend one of my stash on this.
Okay.
So I'm rolling
So you're
4.
rolling 4 dice.
Right, and add a 6-sided dice. And then, it's number.
It's
not
fine. You can do it that
Okay.
way too.
And then where do I click to roll them all?
So what you'll do is click on each individual one until you see a new box form around it. And then in the bottom center, there's a little circle rotate thing, and that'll roll all those dice. All right. One is one for the road. One is for you because you were rolling a 6. Or 6 means that whoever's rolling gets it. And we have a 4, which is Sorendal, and a 5, which is Devshi.
So,
wow.
Well, the special ability of the rebel is that when you roll, treat any 5 or 4 as the 6.
Okay, you get all the statements, and I get one little statement among it. So give us some narration. What does Celsival, the trader, rebel trader, look like?
Actually, I'm not sure that that's very fun, that I take away other people's narrative control.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd be
it's your
willing to give it
option.
back. I'll give it back. I'll give it back. I'd rather hear from multiple people on this.
Cool.
So, Celsival, we walk into what looks like a bar, and there's some patrons there, but not many. We're being led by the captain, I think, or we were given instructions to go here by the captain, and we were given like a code word to say at the bar itself, and then the bartender like slides like a little key dongle across the bar to us, and we take it, and we go into the restrooms. Like together, we have to do it kind of surreptitiously so that not everyone sees us all go in at once, but one at a time we filter in. And then there's like a place on the wall where we hold up the dongle and a false door opens up, or a false wall opens up, and there's stairs going down. And we go down into like this really packed, kind of murky, gross basement area. And there's just like crates all over the place. And there's a Celestian in the back who has like a bunch of wares laid out. It's mostly weapons, but also maybe some other illicit goods. And I don't know who was hauling the spanners, but someone's got the spanners, and we like kind of dump them out and have them look at them, and we say, yeah, we're looking for some blasters. You want to make the trade or not? And he seemed pretty excited to see the spanners, but he's trying to hide it. The Celestian.
I think Tutala is the one who's carrying the spanners, because he sees you gathering things up, and he's like, we need that. No, this is stuff we can trade away. Yeah.
You can let me carry the spanners. I'm taller.
Okay. I'm struggling with the little pile of spanners, and I think Soren picks it up and helps me.
I asked before. I don't just grab it from you. Soren asks.
And I think the statement that I'll throw in is that as you guys are trading and you're successful, right? You had to do some sneaky stuff, but the Mimbonese captain, she's more than happy to front for you guys and back your play. But there's a Deveronian who's watching the Sulluston transact, and he sees, oh yeah, it's some kids, and they're trying to get some blasters, and he talks to a couple of his buddies, and I don't know if you guys hang out for a bit if you're heading back to the ship, but it seems like they're going to be trailing you guys back. A little danger on the horizon there. You get in a little trouble. And I think with where we're at time, maybe we stop with you guys in this underground trading area. That's also, maybe there's a sabacc table. There's the bar, but then there's also this like underground thing that's going on. That's where
I think
you guys
Peter's still got to say a thing.
Oh shit!
Right?
I've got to get better at that.
Not Peter. I think Josh, because Peter
Yes.
gave back the
I think
I'm sorry,
that,
Josh. I'm so sorry.
You're so fine. I think that just as one last coda, we'll have it be known that Defshi is not being subtle. The name Defshi will be known in this little Mimbam outpost. He's a pirate hunter, you know, he's a gambler, he's the best pilot this side of the system. He's just bragging his head off the whole time.
Nice. I like it.
Oh, can I add one detail, if you don't mind, Josh?
Of course.
I think it would be really fun if Defshi mentioned that the laser was shot by the Sorendal guy, and then Defshi was doing the flying, but the name was mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay for you?
Of course.
So Sorendal's name's been mentioned, even though he did his best to stay unknown. Cool. All right, with that, we will bring the actual story to a pause. It's not really exactly a cliffhanger, but there's a threat. There are some Deveronians who might hold you guys up or something along those lines as you head out. So I'd love to take a few moments at the end here, and this is why I'm going to carve off and stop on a little bit early, because it's the first time I've run Road Trip, and first time I assume y'all have played, so we can get a little bit of feedback. We're going to do stars and wishes. We'll start with wishes so that we can end with stars. And with wishes, I'd love to hear things you definitely want to happen in our second and last session. But if there are any rules, clarifications, or areas that I can look up and try to make sure that it runs smoother for our second session, I will say one thing for me, just to lead off. I need to figure out some kind of tick sheet, or maybe I just need to stay with the roll thing to make sure that each person gets their say, because I get antsy and I start talking and I take over, and that's bad. So I want to respect the way the rules are structured to make sure everybody gets their say and stop doing what I did at least twice this session. So I apologize for that. And that is my wishes. I think I'm gonna use the dice and check off.
Maybe you could delete the die when it's been used in the narration.
That is a good idea.
And that mimics, I think, in physical space, it'd be a lot easier because we roll these 3 dice and then
Right,
hand
and
them
you just
out.
Exactly.
And yeah.
It even says in the rules, like grab a die and then you're like putting it, and then you put it in your stash, and there's actually a place. So yeah, that's a really good idea, deleting the dice. So I'm just going to delete all the dice for now. So we'll have a clean space when we begin. Awesome. Thank you. That is really helpful. Who'd like to go first with wishes? You don't have to roll dice for it. You get to go. Just go.
I can go with wishes. Okay. I wish we would get to Erelon. Would love to see Erelon, just, but other than that, I think I'm good. This seems to be a very fun game. I think we need to figure out what to do about fuel, because there's a fuel tab.
Yes, there is.
Fuel
there
thing,
is a fuel tab.
and that something has to happen there, maybe. But I think, yeah. Oh, and there's a stress track as well.
Yes,
wow.
There's the stress track and fuel.
Wow. Okay, so but what I really wish to do is to see these characters bounce off one another. That is a lot of fun. So yeah, it's my main wish.
Cool. Thank you, Sabine.
I can jump in with the next set of wishes. So, my wish is that like we had a lot of foreshadowing this session, and I know there's like only so much you can do in a two shot, but I would like to see all of that come to bear in the second half, where there's the hooded figure, there's the TIE fighters we escaped from, the pirates that we really messed up, and then now these Deveronians, and we've really set ourselves up for a pretty dire situation, but we don't quite realize it yet. And in the second chapter, we see like, uh-oh, like these are just kids. They don't really know what they're doing.
That is great and definitely a good thing for us to mile marker out. Thank you, Peter. Josh or Steven, who'd like to go next with wishes?
I'll go. So I noticed that who was it? It was Peter, whose role was like when you roll, treat any 5 as a 4 or 5 as a 6. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's sort of like you're taking narrations or rights away from people. I would wish that you could look at some of the unused roles and maybe use those instead.
Yeah, that is a really good point, because I don't want you to not have your cool power if you're not comfortable using it. Like, grab something from one of the unused roles. Let's. I'll change the text to where you can see it.
And then the other thing is that gaining stash is a little bit ambiguous. It's the equivalent of handing out bennies or something like that.
Yeah.
And that makes the GM's job a lot harder, because either they're focused on that and not the story, or they're focused on the story and they just say every once in a while everybody get a stash. It's difficult to handle that and to judge that.
Yeah, let's end everybody at 2 stash except for Devshi, who's still at 4. So let's just do that. And thank you for Stephen, your understanding.
Well, no, it's one of those things. It's like I'd like for there to be something a little bit more narrative,
Mm-hmm.
or mechanically, tied to the narrative, so that there's a method to get stash. That's one of my wishes. Is I wish that it was easier to bring into the mechanics how to get stash. Yeah.
So I've adopted the sweethearts. When I get stash, I can. But see, even that is gonna get caught on when do we give stash out, because there's no like mechanical built-in time for that to happen. But when I get stash, I can give stash to somebody else as well.
Oh, that's fun.
I wishes. I want to run into someone who's heard about Defshi. That's my wish. Who's heard about these exploits? Not just Defshi, who's heard about the double payback, this roving pirate hunter.
Never heard of Star-Lord.
That's right. This is the place where you need to like paint over the opportunity to make it
Exactly.
the double payback. Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
I do not think that I get a color match for our ship's base paint. So there's a little like blocked out, black patch on the gray hull of the ship. And then over it in white letters, it says double payback.
For sure. That is a great opening scene for episode 2. Good stuff. Josh, you went last with wishes. Did you have any more wishes before
No.
Okay. You went last with wishes. You get to go first with stars. Do you have any stars? Which is a highlighted moment, a particular part of play that you'd like to spotlight to give somebody a star for?
Yeah. Star. I'm gonna give a star to everyone. This is a collaborative game. We're all collaborating to build this story, and I think we did a great job. I think we have this really interesting springboard that I'm really excited to spend another session exploring next week.
Cool. Steven, did you have any stars?
So, I mean, I felt like everybody kind of jumped into their role. I really enjoyed Peter, the way that you really stepped into the, I have a crush on G, and that went really well. And Soren definitely stepped into the protective role, which is really nice. And I guess, and a star to you, Rich, for trying a different system to see how it works out.
Thank you, Steven. Peter, did you have any stars?
Yeah, I've got a star for Stephen for that heartfelt advice that was given to Defshi. I felt like that was a really clear scene in my mind, and I really could imagine what was happening. And then also a star for Sabine for the way that she played up Sorendal really wanting to stay hidden, but then in the end that like sabotaging that herself at the very end. So that was great.
It was really cool. That was really cool. Sabine, did you have any stars that haven't been thrown out there? Or any?
Sure thing. I have a lot of stars. It was a fun session. I love cells. Oh, I've been off word for the first time. This is so exciting. And Totalas, sorry. Kind of, yeah, this is nothing of this is new for me, but yeah, you go ahead. And I love Devshi as the captain who was really in over his head most of the time, but it was just like a kid, basically, like, yeah, I've done it, and so very happy and exuberant. That was fun. I love that. I love seeing that. And Rich, thank you for you for trying out the system, and star for you to create this character keeper. I mean, it's got a lot of moving parts, and it's for a 2-shot. Wow, that is dedication, my friend. That is, wow, I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. I am glad for the effort because it's been pretty neat so far. Well, stars to all of you for being open and forgiving for some of my overstep with narration. I'll do better next week. And I'm really excited to see how the story comes out. I do realize at first I thought, man, is this just a 1-shot that I've put out as a 2-shot? But now we've only gone one space and more stuff keeps happening. So we'll have to speed things up. Stars to us as we excitedly race towards Adderall next session. We won't have character creation, so we'll have a good 45 minutes more of play, but we need to be mindful of that as we bring this story to a close. Thank you all so much for playing. And with that, we'll bring the recording to a close.